In my last video, I spoke about something to believe in, and that there was a higher power that we can all believe in, who is the creator of the whole universe. Now, this creator, we call him God, and the question would be, is what God would that be? Now, there's 18,000 some odd gods out there, and in Hinduism alone, there's millions. So out of all of those gods, how can we know that there is one that actually is the correct one? Well, there was a book that was written a little less than 2,000 years ago that tells us who that God is in great detail. Why should we trust that book? Now, I'm going to go through some evidence and make a case for why we should trust that book. First of all, that book is not just any ordinary book. It's actually 66 different books that was authored by 30 different authors that were all inspired by the God of that book. Out of those 30 plus authors, there is about a span of 1,500 years between the first author and the last author that wrote the whole entire thing. So from one generation to another generation, we have many different authors all saying the same thing and all pointing towards the same God. Now, the Bible was split into two parts, the first part being the Old Testament and the second part being the New Testament. The Old Testament chronicles the very beginning of time all the way up to about 420 BC. The earliest copies that we've found for the Old Testament are based off of the Dead Sea Scrolls, which date to around 325 BC. The first four books of the New Testament were based off of eyewitness testimony and disciples that followed Jesus around 30 AD. The New Testament itself, though, was written between 44 AD and about 92 AD, with surviving manuscript fragments dating to around the early 2nd century AD. The Bible as a whole existed and was compiled before the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD. It was quoted from by early scholars and church founders like Clement of Alexandria and Ignatius of Antioch in the 2nd century AD. Archaeologists have used the Bible to locate dig sites and have found evidence that corroborates the historical events found within it. The Bible to me is true, and there's a verse in the Bible that says, "Let every man be a liar, but God be true." And so the truth of God's word can be found in the Bible. Now, the Bible describes a God that is loving, caring, and compassionate for those that are broken and with a contrite spirit, those that can humble themselves and know that there is somebody that is greater than they are. But God looks down upon those that are wicked and that are evil at heart and that reject God and that think that it's foolishness to believe that there is a God. Those that rely on science for the unexplained, those are the ones that God will judge in the end. But here's the thing. God will judge everyone not based on what they've done, but based on who they believe to be God and what God has done for them. We've all sinned. We have all fallen short of God's glory. So with there being many different religions, and the Bible speaks of this God that's a loving, merciful, caring, and compassionate God, what's the difference between all of those religions and the God of the Bible? Well, all of the religions out there usually say that you have to do something to be saved, that you have to prove yourself worthy of God's salvation or to be a part of his kingdom of heaven. You have to work to get in there. Well, that's not who the God of the Bible portrays. The God of the Bible portrays an eternal, loving being that showed mercy and wanted mercy rather than sacrifice. And so the next video, I'll talk about this God of love, mercy, and grace, one that doesn't require you to do anything but have faith in Him. Until next time, God bless you all.